Hello, this is Cathy, and this is the Cinemile, the podcast where my husband Dave and I record our walk home from the movies out every Sunday. But I'm not walking home from the movies today. This is the mini series where every Saturday, special guests and I discuss the latest episode of And Just Like That, leaping from plot to plot, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time the next episode will be the leap home. Welcome to Dominic and Chris from Fixing Famous People.
Hello.
Hi.
One of my favorite podcasts. Every Wednesday, I wait, I refresh my feed. I am here waiting for it in Ireland, where it comes out later for me. Truly one of my favorite podcasts. I've always wanted you guys on this podcast. Naturally, as you live in New York, you're not around to come to the cinema with me on a Saturday night. So this is the perfect opportunity. And you know, you guys, what their podcast is they fix famous people. Two reality TV producers pitch solutions to save celebrities in dire straits. You guys are here. You can kind of help me fix this show. Dominic, how have you been finding it so far this season?
Oh, here's the thing. It's always a journey with the show, but I realized this morning when I was wiping a tear away during one specific moment while on the treadmill, I was like, they could literally retitle this show God Hates Fags and I would still love it. I swear to God. Like it's such a rare, whether or not it's good or bad, of course, we'll pick it apart for the rest of our lives, obviously, but it's just, I can't ever hate it. I can't. And there have been some things during these 3 episodes I've raised my eyebrow at, but this episode in particular, even more than episode 2, I just felt like I was watching Sex and the City, like a prime 2002 episode of Sex and the City was what I felt like I was watching. It's like they're not afraid to lean into farcical shit. It's a sitcom again, rather than what they tried to make the show in season 1, you know, like, which we've already done treaties after treaties on that about how they tried to change it. I feel like they're getting back to form. There's always going to be holes, you know, on an ensemble show where you're doing 4 different stories every week. Poor Charlotte should be its own podcast. I'll just say that. Like what they're doing, like what the tropes that they're throwing at this poor woman. It's just the husband with the button fly. I can't even discuss it. I was so grossed out by what was happening in that bathroom. It was absolutely horrific. But the episode on a whole, I would probably give like a 7.5 or an 8. It felt like Sex and the City to me. I was furious at many times during it, and I cringed. I'm cringing all the way through Carrie and Aiden's quote unquote relationship. I'm cringing through every single moment of it.
My first note is I hate this storyline of Carrie and Aiden. She's too old to be doing this. And we'll start talking about it. But like, Dominic, I disagree with you. I feel like we're back to the first 2 episodes. To me, felt like Sex and the City, whereas this episode feels like we're returning to the form of And Just Like That, which is every scene makes me full of rage even more about how fucking stupid it is. And it's like compounding on the last scene of how fucking stupid. And it makes me want to throw something at the television, which is what I have been taught to expect from this show. And it's what I want from this show.
Yeah,
I don't want to feel peace during watching this show. I want to feel rage and feel like, what on earth were the writers thinking? The words writer's room are all through my notes, and that's not a compliment.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because they actually have a writer's room podcast, which I've been listening to every week, and it's like they're talking about a different show than the show I'm watching.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
I'm nervous to even dip a toe in that, because I'm gonna like write them letters and be like, you are a fucking idiot. Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. You think I'm kind of on Dom's side in that I liked this episode, but like is a strong word, you know.
Sure.
I still have many issues, but a lot of people are hate watching this, and I kind of class myself as hope watching it. Like every week I'm rooting for it, I want it to be good, but then like you, Chris, I enjoy screaming at the TV. Like frankly, it's the discourse around the show, I think, that keeps me watching it more than the act of watching it.
These characters are, I mean, they are the scripted Real Housewives, are they not? Like, it's like we've been through the ups and the downs, we've been through everything with these people. And so like, we're obviously going to be, you know, we're viewers.
Yeah. And I must mention to our listeners who won't know that Chris and Dom are both reality TV producers and have both produced on different Real Housewives series. So they know what they're talking about. You've been around a lot of you've been around a lot of women of this age with this kind of wealth.
But again, like we saw them when they were 30 years old and struggling and they wanted to get husbands and they wanted to date and they wanted to do this and they wanted to blah, blah. Like we've been through that. Then we've seen them rise. Then we've seen them fall. Then we've seen deaths. We've seen divorces. We've seen that, you know, like it doesn't matter. We know how to watch these people on our screens. And so we're going to do it.
Yeah. Forever until we die.
Forever.
What do you think about, so like into the Carrie and Aiden after last week, where we kind of gently came back from the first episode with the truck scene, which everyone was just so grossed out by. What about Carrie and Aiden now after their emoji plot last week, which is truly dire?
Goodbye.
I've been on Aiden watch because I felt like last week when they wrote Aiden, who kind of showed up quite creepily, kind of grabbed her in her closet, had no conversation with her before he arrived. I felt like, are they kind of drip feeding us into like an abusive relationship? And like, is Aiden on some sort of dark path? I thought Aiden might be on a dark path of like retribution against Carrie.
Yeah.
Because he's treating her so poorly. But then when I listened to the Writers' Room podcast last week, after I'd already recorded our episode, they were saying, isn't it so romantic how he just showed up and was in her closet?
Well, but Cathy, that's the problem. Is that they're like, they all tell each other that this is what this is, and then what we watch on the TV is not that. Like, they've all convinced themselves that that's what that means, whereas we're like, wait, like, their whole thing is that they're not going to talk to each other, and they have these boundaries, and they have blah, 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 and then he breaks one of those boundaries, which is in theory not good. And so it's like, what, but then it doesn't lead us into a conversation of like, why are we having these boundaries and they make no sense and it's not realistic. And you know what I mean? And again, I don't want the show to be realistic, by the way. Like, I want them to live in a fantasy world where this is like, but this is not the fantasy world I want them to live in, where they like, the climax of the season last season was like Aiden leaving and her being distraught that she's in this beautiful house alone all by herself with her cat's shoe. Give me 17 breaks. And then, which looks like a feral cat, by the way. I'm like, why is this cat so ugly?
It looks unhoused. That cat looks unhoused.
Can this cat be groomed? Can she go to Petco and like get it groomed on 14th Street? Like, please. But we have this whole like, oh, they can't see each other for 5 years and they're just going to send each other like postcards, which I'm sending to both of you the next time I go on a trip, of just a postcard with a heart on it because they can't talk, but they want to. She's sending like a snail mail emoji to him. And then like randomly out of nowhere, he just like calls her, and then out of nowhere he shows up. And so like, when is she going to be like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, happening? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want.
She'll get there. She'll get there.
In episode 8, I don't want that, you know?
But that's her entire character for 25 years is her making bad decision after bad decision in the spirit of romance. And I love that earlier you're like, Carrie, you're too old for this. Of course she's too old for it, but it's exactly what Carrie Bradshaw would do. She's been like lovesick her whole life, finds love, then the fucking guy dies. She has hit the reset button. This is like a teenage romance for her, and everyone watching it is looking at it and screaming, knowing that it is not going to work out. I'll be honest, when Seema ran over the spikes, I was like, I hope this resolves with they actually don't get to Aiden's house, because it's only going to be disappointing. That's how it's always going to be written, you know, like that's how. And I cringe, not to be too serious, but of the three of us here, I'm the only one who is actually middle-aged, and every scene
you're looking in a mirror,
middle-aged, not a mirror, but middle-aged dating is cringy in general. And so that's why those scenes were brilliant. Like, just because someone's 6 years old doesn't mean they don't masturbate anymore. And that uncomfortable scene, there are people do. I by the way, I do not do that. Just for the record, I prefer in person. But there are people doing that, and it is sort of that cringy. And that's one of the things I like about Carrie entering into this preposterous postcard no contact relationship, because him showing up and breaking the boundary is what happens. It's just like having an argument with a loved one. You're like, we're not talking for a week, and you text them, what you doing 2 minutes later, you know. It's like, so that part I like. The unrealistic part is that she's just been beaten up so many times that the real Carrie Bradshaw would probably You should just go to a convent and say, "I'm done with dick." Probably, like it's been too much.
Yeah, I feel like I find it hard to reconcile this Carrie with previous Carrie. Not because she wasn't always really like annoying when it came to men, but she's just a bit boring now. And I always found her an interesting character. And I think even when last week Adam Garden said, "What do you want your garden to be like?" and she's like, "I don't know." Like she has no personality anymore.
No, at all.
And
like,
I thought they would hook up. I thought that the plot was going to be her and Adam. And
I wanted
like
Carrie to be like getting banged out in that rat infested backyard that she has. Like I was like, oh, here we go. And then she's going to be, see, that's a good storyline of like, oh, I'm like having sex with my gardener because like Aiden isn't here to trim my bush. So I found I found a groomer elsewhere. You know
Maybe
what I mean?
she will.
Typing that in.
Maybe it'll be a love triangle with her and Seema.
Seema's banging the gardener, which I want for her. I want Seema to have sex with a blue collar worker and get her like shit rocked.
I love the way they set it up. Like I love her dialogue is half I'm laughing my ass off and half we get it. You don't need to explain that she's the sassy one. Like we've already gotten it. Just like we know that the gardener's not someone she'd ever fuck. So that's why it's going to be amazing when they live happily ever after.
I like your pitch though, Dom. Like a love triangle would be great. Sadly, we're not going to get one.
Well, it would be great if like Seema's into him, but he's into Carrie. I don't think they'll do that. To them because,
I like that.
Yeah,
that's fun, but they can't. Yeah,
no, we can't ostracize Seema yet. She's too. We need her so badly.
She's all we have.
She literally is all that. She's the only reason the show is still on the air. I'm serious. Like she is like. So here's my thing. So first of all, my note about this was need Seema to bang the gardener desperately is what I said. And he is so hot, and I'm like, who is this person? Like,
he's the hottest guy on the show right now for sure.
100%. And I'm like, where did they find this one? It's truly. But my note is, I love that we just straight up have accepted that Seema is the new character, or is the new Samantha.
She's just Samantha, yeah.
She is Samantha. That I'm fine with it. It's great. Like she just has taken over the role of the fourth one. You know what I mean? And she's the one having sex. But I don't like that Lisa Todd Wexley is like on an island by herself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem on the show with me. There needs to be 6 of them having fun together. We weeded out the like, what's her name? The woman that like Miranda's professor. That's like on the morning show. And so that's why she can't, she's like has a bigger role on the morning show. So she can't film both shows basically is what it is. And so like we've weeded her out. And they never really gave her the justice that she deserved with like.
Yeah, she was so good and they wasted her.
And she's such a good actor. I love her. I think she's gorgeous. I loved her. Like her storyline was interesting. Like, I don't know, but they weeded her out. But like Lisa Todd Wexley still is on an island alone and like isn't down in the muck with the rest of them. And I'm like upset for her.
I was glad to see this episode that Lisa Todd Wexley, to give her full title, is still like, isn't just clinging onto Charlotte like she was last week. Like, at least we see a bit about her career. We see her and her husband, who I thought was like Harry 2.0, buffoon 2.0. At least her husband had something about him in this episode. They had a couple of conversations. Like, I was interested. For once, they weren't farcical and kind of reduced to Charlotte and Harry level of shite.
They're obviously still figuring out what to do with her. It's like they know she's an asset to the show, but they haven't quite. They knew the other person had to go. And whether or not I felt like she was too extra anyway, to be honest with you, when she was here. So if I didn't know she's on the morning show, but good for her because I liked her, but I wasn't like sold on her staying. But
she's like the EP. She's like the showrunner of the show.
She's
like graduated
of
from
the morning show.
No, but like in the show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not the EP.
Wonderful.
Like in the show, she's now like the one that's like the showrunner because what's his name is like ousted. Like she rises up through the ranks and is like a bigger character.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, but she's like doing well.
I don't watch the morning show, but I watched the first season. I liked it. It's a waste.
It got exponentially worse in every single way. It's the most ridiculous thing. It makes this show look like a Rhodes Scholar wrote it, basically.
That's bad.
But they don't know what to do, but they'll figure it out. I love Christian. I love her husband. I think I love their dynamic because their dynamic isn't goofy like every other couple on the show. They feel like an actual couple, like poking at each other and loving each other. I just wish they'd find a way to mesh her in with everybody a little more organically. And I love the story that they wrote for her this week too, about the editor leaving and the way it unfolded. Like she's been waiting here for 8 years and it's like, oh, okay, now I'm actually on the editor's side. It was it was good. It was a good story. It just had nothing to do with anyone else on the show.
I don't like. My biggest note for her is like all her storylines are too earnest.
Yeah.
She still is in this like. She's still in her world that we created for her in season 1 when it was going to be like the 2024 version of like what New York is. And the rest of them have now just become funny and goofy. And she's still like the social justice warrior making this documentary, and all of her, and not that that's not what, like, sure, but then like make it funny. It's so earnest, and the rest of the show is not that anymore.
It is,
and
but Chris, have you seen what's been trailed? Who the new editor is?
No, who?
A very sexy guy. So
yeah,
I
but
can
she's
hope
never
and dream.
She's never gonna cheat on her husband with this guy. Like, it's
there's no sex in the show.
I want that. I want her to be like, oh my God. Like, but she's not going to. I'm telling you, that's always like when she's like, I'm mashing these potatoes because I'm so mad. And he's like, don't be violent, wife. And she's like, I want to be. Like, it's just so not the rest of the show to me. And I'm just like, can't she have fun? Like, why does she have to be the like moral high ground of the show? Like, I want her. I don't like that she's breezing into the bread company like late with all these friends. Like, I want her to like be at the table. And instead of it being like a plot device that she enters and then like Charlotte scores Adderall from we'll get there because I'm like furious. But like, I don't want. Can't she just be at the table talking about like Carrie and Aiden and being like, Carrie, what the fuck are you talking about, you dumb idiot? Like, that's what I want her to do.
Yeah, they always made her like, oh, she's Charlotte's friend and Seema's Carrie's friend.
But Seema's in it now.
Bring them
Seema's
together,
like friends with everyone.
This
and
trip
like,
to Virginia was sort of critical with that too, because she was still on the outside for me, but her going with Carrie. And I know we're disagreeing a lot this week, but when she walked into the bakery with that trail of women behind her, I laughed out loud. I was like, this is, if you've never seen the show before, you know 50% of what you need to know about her from that 10th of a second.
Yeah, 100%.
By hearing she's a momfluencer and she just walks in with all those people. It's like she, in that moment when she entered with all those women, she belonged on the show. She was like a part of it. Then they went back to the editor and it was just sort of, you know, again, like a good storyline, but it felt like it was she's always on an island by herself.
Yeah.
Even like wardrobe wise, remember that disco ball she wore across Park Avenue last week? I'll never forget it. Even wardrobe wise, when they're together, she's literally on her own planet.
She's just on
I hope they figure it out. I hope they figure it out because I love her. I really do.
But like, she needs to come in, like, she needs to be the, like, us, we're following her into the restaurant and she's like, oh, sorry, I'm late, ladies. And like, the scene starts with her sitting down at the table with the other four. Get what I'm saying? Versus like, they have all this conversation and then they have to like do all these plot devices to get these other moms in there so that Charlotte can like get Adderall. And it's like, Lisa Todd-Wexley's the reason. Like, she should come in with those women being like, oh, I brought up, like, she needs to just be there earlier.
This is why they need you guys to produce this show. Like, they need external influence. Like, when I listen to the Writers' Room podcast, which I have to say I'm now obsessed with, they are so sycophantic to Michael Patrick King. They're all complimenting each other all the time. And I can just picture the Writers' Room being this just big old circle jerk. There's no one critiquing. There's no external perspective.
Like, I would bet everything that I have on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know that they're in there. And again, I have Writer's Room. I go, so this man that's managing the restaurant is also doing PR for the festival that's at the restaurant. Writer's Room. Like, why is this person here? I'm jumping ahead, but like, there's just so much of it that's like, this must happen because we can't get to our next plot thing that we've already pitched to happen unless like, these three random characters come in and like tell them things and they like learn information to then like move forward.
Chris,
and
they
it's
actually
just
said that on the podcast. They said, we've created a space with Anthony's Bakery so that our characters have places to be and their plots to, it's like Central Perk. They didn't say that, but like they've essentially created a Central Perk for them all to drop in. What do you think as New Yorkers is the location of his bakery and the fact that he just sells bread and employs like 15 staff a viable business?
I mean, Amy's Bread is a very, very famous bakery. in New York, I will say, and they have many locations, and it's very, no, but it does exist.
But Amy's Bread probably have economies of scale. Like, what is Anthony? Well, how is he making money here? What do you think? Like, who's the audience? What I can't figure out is his audience gay men, or is it supposed to be like Desperate Housewives?
It doesn't both.
It does. Yeah, they're the same. They're one and the same. And I mean, I think it's a viable business if they become like Insta famous, like all these other places in New York. Then sure. When he walked up at the end, I was like, I can't. It was a full. I know.
Whenever,
full
yeah, he's like, his like crisis of conscience was like, how will I get my young boyfriend to like hang dong in outside of my restaurant? Like, it's just like so fucking stupid.
What do you think of him as a character now that he's been elevated to main cast?
So I love Mario Cantone, and I've always loved his character on the show. Some of the stuff they have him doing is a little, I don't know. It's for an audience that's not me. It's for an audience of people that aren't exposed to gay people much and still want to hear. And keep in mind, in real life, I am that basically. It's a little early in the day, but. And I won't even tell you about 30 years ago when I started doing stand-up that a booking agent at the Duplex came to me and said, I need to put you and Mario on a bill together. You're like the straight Mario Cantone and you can open for him. And I said, okay. That was
so it. You did open for him?
Well, I wasn't out of the closet yet, and I did not end up opening for him. But we've been on the same bill together. But we're not friends or anything.
I literally wrote Mario Cantone is Dominic.
Yeah. Like I'm like, but he can pull back a little bit. That's all. It feels like gay men aren't writing for him. He's becoming a straight person's version of gay because he's getting a little hokey. That's all.
But again, it's like, and then Mario will come in and like be so upset, and then like, okay, great, clack, 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 clack. You know what I mean? It's like not like, and then Mario says this, or like they're all in this. It's like, also, we don't need the bread. Sure, the bread thing, whatever. But it's like, I don't need to like know where they're at. For 6 seasons, they were just at that breakfast place that we never knew the name of, where they had the most like groundbreaking scenes of television for women to ever exist. And we didn't need to like set up that one of them owns it or this person that, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like they don't need to establish this area, and we don't believe any of them eat bread. It's just not realistic in any way. It's just not. Even when Lisa Todd Wexley brought in all the croissants, I was like, no, you don't, Lisa.
Yeah, but I love what was her line? She's like, I don't. She's like, a friend of a friend opened a bakery, so we eat bread now. Yeah, it was good.
I did. And you know it's going to be one of those like amazing artisan sourdoughs, which I would be all over. But like getting to Charlotte, right? And I really want to hear your thoughts about Charlotte, because to me, it's just embarrassing now what they've done to her. And I'd love to hear. I know, Dom, you kind of teased it up earlier. What are you thinking about Charlotte?
I mean, she's a clown. That's it. She's just their clown. I don't know how they could write a more serious storyline for her at this point. I mean, her family is its own sort of sitcom. They could be the Goldbergs. They could spin them off and give them be their own sitcom, because the kids, their 2 kids are so firmly established in character, and we've barely seen them, and we know who they are. So they're sort of like this funny sitcom within a sitcom.
The word funny is strong though. Because Dave doesn't watch it, but he walked in just when that scene was on with them and Mario and the boyfriend, and Dave just watched that scene and he said, "I can't believe this is on HBO."
They're a sitcom. They're a sitcom that's living within a sitcom that's nothing like that sitcom. You know what I mean? Like this is like, it's clown work. I mean, it's like vaudeville nonsense.
Her delivery is just so earnest also. Like, it's so like, and I'm the mom and blah, blah, blah. It's like her playing Charlotte as Charlotte. Like, I don't know. It's like, there's a part where I want to tweak the way that she delivers everything. But I will say I liked her in this episode. The sitcom of her family is when she's like, oh, mom, like when they're all like, mom, like we can be on our own. I mean, they've already literally done this. In my opinion, the best scene of anything that they've ever done on this show is whenever Charlotte goes and drinks with her friends and throws her phone in the margarita blender and then comes home piss ass drunk and screams at her family. Like, and like they've already done that before. And it's just like another version of that storyline. But again, was my favorite of all time. So like, there we go. But like her being like, oh, mom, will you make this? Will you make that? Will you do this? Like, we've been here before already.
Yeah,
And so it's like sad that I liked her in the club, being like, I'm too old to be here. Like, that's funny. Like, I don't know. That part was, but again, even within that, when Harry pisses his own pants because he can't get his jeans off. And again, it's
because he's a lawyer who doesn't know how to undo his own pants. That was where they lost me. I'm like, if you're going to do clown work, that was the only part where they lost me.
And again, I need Charlotte running around being like, where's Harry? Where's Harry? And he's like embarrassed that he's in the bathroom and she has to go find him and he's in the stall and he's like, come over here. And then she like pops her head up over the thing and he's like, I just pissed myself. And she's like, what? Like, that's funny, but not him walking out being like, Charlotte, you're gonna have to go it alone. I peed my own pants. And
Why
she's
is
like,
he
oh
there?
no. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, there's such comedy to be had where he literally pissed himself and then she like has to go find him and then like play it off to the young people like he didn't do that. Like, that's funny. But instead it's like, and now I will go home and you will go it alone, Charlotte. You're all by yourself so you can eventually be attacked by this man in the bathroom. And she's like, yes, I will. Like,
I just don't understand why. Like, if I was there producing this, writing it, I would say, everyone knows Charlotte's family. We all know she's married to Harry. That's fine. But like, we don't need to see them in this episode. Just let her have her plot with the work people. Love to see her in a club doing espresso martinis. Like, that stuff is fun. Like, who brings their husband to a night out like this with just colleagues? It's not normal behavior. And
that's
he's such
a great
an
point. It actually would have been better if she just didn't bring him and experience it on her own. I think part of the reason they probably didn't do that was because of the Margarita phone storyline. They probably didn't want it to be like too similar to that. I also love a lot of times when Charlotte has any storyline, and this is true of the old show as well, I would always think to myself, if they had given this storyline to someone else, what would the result have been? Like, Samantha would have done the coke, fucked the guy, and sold the painting on the toilet. And I thought that was hilarious when I played it out in my head. I don't know what the other ladies would, but I always like, with Charlotte, she's always, I don't know. I mean, the best thing she ever did was scream no on the street.
She could have. Yeah. She could have called Seema and been like, I need to bring in the big guns. And Seema like pulls up in her little, like, what's it called? Her Rolls Royce.
Mercedes.
And her brown Mercedes.
What
and then
chokehold does Harry, the actor, have on this show that he gets in scenes with Carrie, with Charlotte? Like, he's background, like, and they've turned him into such a buffoon. Like, why is he pissing him? And if he's incontinent, that's a separate plot line that's quite serious. Like, it just doesn't work.
But I will say, as much as I knew everyone would be like, why are Harry and Carrie in a scene together? I will say, like, it's very New York of like, oh, who's around? Oh, Harry's available to come to this, or like, I need to go see Harry, like my friend's husband. There's something New York about it that I really liked, because I feel like in other places that's so off limits or weird, whereas in New York it's very normal. Am I wrong, Dominic?
You're not wrong, but I honestly think that the explanation is much simpler than that. And I'm curious, I will not listen to any writer's podcast because I'm infuriated at the idea. It would be like me eating at a restaurant and hearing the Kitchens podcast. I'm already arguing with them. Like, that's what I feel like. I want to do my arguing with you people and not those people. So those people probably thought, for the first time in 20 years, they were probably like, we've never said Harry Carey on the show. And
they basically said that. That's what they said.
That was it.
We've never had them.
Did they say that on the podcast? On the writers' podcast? Oh my God,
they
that's
did.
hilarious. I bet that's like the only reason. That's how they would come up with shows at MTV. They come up with the title first and then work backwards. They probably were like, how have we never said Harry Carey? And then they just put them at a store together.
Dominic, are you trolling me? Because that's literally what Michael Patrick King said.
No. Is it really?
Yeah, he said, we've never had Harry Carey.
Well, that's the other. Well, here we go. P.S. That's the other thing of this, is that like, they're like, this has never happened. Let's do it. And it's like, how they probably come up with like 4 things. Like, Harry's going to pee himself at the club. Like, Seema's gonna like run over a rumble strip for no reason at all. Give me 17 breaks with that. And then this other thing, and it's like, what's this? And then Carrie needs to like stay in a guest house on Aiden's property. And then they're like, how do we piece together all these
Yeah, the Carrie
You know what I'm
guest
saying?
house thing. I want to get back to that because I think that was actually again sinister, but I don't know
Yes.
that the show thinks it's sinister. You know, and like, okay, I thought he lived on a farm because it looked like a suburban housing estate to me. And
Yeah,
and
farm.
and
Yeah, farm.
how
Yeah,
rich
question.
is Aiden? Because his guest house is my house.
Yeah, no,
So-
it's bigger than both of mine and Dominic's houses.
Serious combined.
It's not a farm, and you know, yes, he used to make furniture, but what's he up to now? And that's the moment I realized we've had no context on Aiden,
It doesn't
like
matter.
whatsoever. And if you tell your kids every night, what are you going to do the next day? Which, okay, you might need to do if you've got kids that are difficult. Then why didn't you tell them you were meeting Carrie the next day?
Well, and also like why again, and again, this is like the point is that eventually she's gonna say this to him, like, I'm not even important enough for you to like tell your kids about me that that's the biggest thing of your day. But oh, maybe it's because it's not the biggest thing of your day to see me. Should we be together? Like, that's what's gonna happen in the last episode of this season. Duh.
She's gonna spiral. Why was he so pissed about the Adderall? What did you think about that?
That's gonna come out too, is like the wife is meddling. Well, can we talk about the Adderall?
Yeah, talk about it.
Please. Because what the fuck was the point of that? Hey, my kid like was in like an accident and is like an addict or something, right? Didn't the kid get a DUI? Right?
I think
that's what happened to him. Yeah.
And so it's like they're like really trying to like help this child, which is very admirable, and like they want to get their kid back on the straight and narrow. Guess what you don't give them is like unprescripted drugs. And then the wife calling him that whole scene where she's like, I don't even like I don't even know how to say this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like doing this whole thing where like you called Carrie, so are you not prepared to talk about this?
Yeah, and last season
like,
she said to Carrie, don't bring my kids into it.
Yeah.
And this season she's like, so anyway, but you know what you want to hear? The writers' room, apparently they've been pitching that Adderall plot for like 2 seasons. They just been waiting for their moment.
There we go. there we go.
But apparently it's a real thing. So even I think the kid has it on prescription, but because of the shortages, they can't
Is there a shortage?
Apparently, according to this writers' room podcast I'm obsessed with.
Sure.
Yeah.
When I said, can you get illegal Adderall for my child? I wrote, we are so back, because this is the exact storyline that we would have had last season and 2 seasons ago that were like completely idiotic. And then also like, that should be the rest of the episode, is like Carrie going to all these different places to try to score Adderall.
Yeah, and then she just gets it like that.
Truly on the street corner with a drug dealer, and her being
I would have
like,
enjoyed that.
Or like a Gen Z drug dealer that's like, she has to like go into some Gen Z thing and like make fun of Gen Z. Like that would be funny. But instead it's like they just solve. I said this on our episode, Dominic, when we were talked about last season on our podcast. I was like, there's all these things where just like the person just decides that they're over the problem of the episode, and that's the resolution of the episode. Charlotte's like, don't worry, I'll do it. And then she's like, takes her like Stepford wife robotic self over and is like, may I please have some Adderall from you? And that other like housewife is like, sure. How much do you want? I only have fast acting. And then she's like, that will do. And then she's like, don't worry, Carrie, I figured it out. And it's like, what is the point of any of this?
Those scenes are punishingly dull as well. That's
horrible.
You're like, why am I watching these women talk to each other? Yeah. But yeah, the Carrie Aiden stuff, I think is grim. I think Miranda was back on form this episode.
She was sort of vintage Miranda. And I have to say, what I like Charlotte getting involved in the Adderall. I'm not just trying to disagree with everything. I loved that because she's drug dealing at Hot Fellas.
No,
and then someone offers her Coke at the end of the episode. I'm like,
that's true.
That was the A and B for me. I just thought it was great how they wove her into that, and then everything else she's doing at the end of the episode is sinful, but just like anything anywhere. Everyone in Charlotte's class is doing exactly what everyone who's busted is doing, but they're doing it in a different way. I didn't think it was that deep at the time, but now since we just talked about her almost doing Coke in the bathroom, and feeling like I need to do some right now, if I'm being honest. I'm just trying to wake up from here.
And that's why they were like, I think they're like, oh no, but she has espresso martinis, because otherwise we would be like, but how is she still awake at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, also, if we're going to make like actual factual, an espresso martini does not wake you up at all. It will, in fact, put you to sleep, particularly if you're doing it at 3 a.m. It's a bad idea. I didn't like that publicity for espresso martinis because they're a delicious drink.
Yeah, they are delicious.
Listen, from an old queen, you begin your evening with an espresso martini. It is not a nightcap. I'm warning you.
I always feel like the show.
Don't ask me how I know this.
But like I like Charlotte like feeling like she has to be. You know what it reminded me of is like the scene. One of my favorite storylines of Friends is when Rachel starts smoking so that she can go down during the cigarette break to try to do the deals. It's the same thing, and that to me it was funny to me. At least that it gave her something to do.
Yeah.
In the episode, like I loved her at the club. I loved when she then leaves and it's like the middle of the day, the next day, and there's like literally construction workers are like pounding the pavement. I was dying.
And I think someone screams like, "Nice tits!"
Yeah. Some guy's like, "Nice tits" to her as he walks by.
I spoke incredible. Out loud. It was the way they shot it was great, actually, and the way I have been in that exact. I mean, everyone in New York has been in that position before, leaving it after hours. When she opened that door and it was light out, I swear on Cher, I went, ugh, which is the exact noise I've made when I've been in that position. It was a great, when they pull out a New York moment that we haven't seen on that show in the past 100 years, I get like a warm feeling inside. And that was definitely like that was like a Sex and the City moment. It was like because so much of the show is what you want New York to be, but it isn't actually. That scene actually was something that happens here. Which is fun.
Yeah, I love all that. And my fix, if I were asked, is straight to the club. None of the shit with Harry and the kids. Definitely not Harry pissing himself, which tonally is just so off that I don't know what to do with it. Because now I'm like, am I imagining it, or did Harry have like some form of cancer in previous seasons of Sex and the City?
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't know.
I just think they've absolutely lost the plot there. But onto the Miranda, I felt like there was a scene where Miranda and Carrie were building this luxurious cat thing for Shu. And I felt very comfortable with that scene. I thought, oh, this is like old Miranda and Carrie.
Yeah.
Wisecracking, but kind of having an honest conversation. Though I still don't know why Miranda has to live in an Airbnb and can't just live in Carrie's mansion. Especially as she's looking after her cat, which I guess feels like quite a Carrie thing that she wouldn't think to offer.
Every time Carrie walks out of that mansion, I laugh. Every time when I see the piece of real estate that they have assigned to this quirky character who has to wear slip-ons because she's too quirky to fucking tie her shoes. I'm like, I cannot believe we've graduated to her living in this. It's fantastic. Like, it's an absolute... I love the fantasy of it. And when she's running down the stairs in previous episodes to get to this place,
and falls, yes.
Yeah.
In her socks. I'm like, here we go.
So, I don't know. There's something hilarious about that house because I don't know. Someone has to have looked it up, right? Like, that's got to be a $60 million.
Oh, no, like
piece of property.
Like, in theory, if it actually is on Gramercy Park, which I think it is, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it is.
If you can afford to buy that home, money doesn't, like, you can eliminate every problem you have with money.
Correct.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like, are we here? Like, that's like what the upper echelon of New York wishes they could do. Like, you're a billionaire.
It's very
That's
funny.
what I was wondering, because like I don't have the reference to where it's located.
Like, in theory, if what they're saying, it's like a house in Gramercy Park, it's millions of dollars, like, I mean, millions.
If they've dummied it, because there's the park is across the street, because you can see, I don't know if it's actually there, but they've made it seem like she's living on the actual park, which would surprise me only because the people on East 73rd Street for decades have been annoyed that people keep going down to get Carrie's old apartment. I cannot imagine the people who live in Gramercy Park what they fucking do if tourists started looking for Carrie's house in Gramercy Park. They'd lose their shit.
Oh yeah, Carrie's house on Gramercy Park.
I guess even if it's not there, people will still go looking for it. But it doesn't have the same cultural cachet it had. Actually, I was looking at the ratings and they're down again, like, understandably.
Oh no, it's there. It's on Gramercy Park.
Wow.
I guess she had many iconic scenes outside, like the stoop of the old place, which don't exist in this one. Discounting Adam Gardens flirting with Seema. So maybe we wouldn't...
She's got a little front patch. Yeah.
The stoop in New York, like on Perry Street, it's actually not in the Upper West Side, or Upper East Side. It's actually down in the West Village. But like they there's like a chain up and it's like, no, like do not come on our stoop. Like, you know what I mean? It's like and like if you walk by, like so many people are standing there taking photos of it. Like it's like a very, very famous
I would too.
stoop in New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, it really is on Gramercy Park, and it's just crazy because again, if you can afford this home, it's like money doesn't exist for you.
And how can we it's hard, I find it hard to take characters seriously when they're that rich. And I did laugh when she got invited to South by Southwest. I was like, why? Like, who wants to talk to her? Like, I know she wrote a memoir when Big died, but like her days of being in the zeitgeist, like last season made me laugh so much, and probably you guys too, as independent podcasters. When the network pulled the plug on her podcast, it's like, so what? Buy a mic and plug it into your laptop. Like, why do you need this podcast network?
Do we have to go back? Like the producer that was like in the booth giving her like the thumbs up when she would say something. Remember that? And they pulled the plug because she wouldn't do like a vaginal dryness ad, right? Wasn't that what it was?
And the entire network collapsed because Carrie wouldn't read one
fell in on itself because Carrie wouldn't do it.
What do you think about Miranda and the BBC producer? Are we feeling it?
Sure.
I mean, I like them as a couple, sure.
Yeah.
I do too. I just feel like it's too early. Like Miranda's just broken up with Shay. And that, like, I liked Shay. I know a lot of people didn't. I really liked the character of Shay, but I felt like this show, by shoving so many new characters in and forcing us to follow Shay and Miranda, we inevitably got sick of Shay. I just think Miranda needs to be dating around. Like, I hope that she's now not in another relationship. I'll be so bored because the dating is the only thing getting me through. You know what I mean? Like Rosie O'Donnell, like what a cameo. Keep the cameos.
I wish she would come back.
Her, like, I want her like navigating like lesbian dating versus being like, it's like there's always like some, but that's the thing, that's not what the show is. The show is like, oh, here's this person I'm like lusting after. Like, I hope I can have you know what I mean? They've always been like, I'm dating this person and I'm like so obsessed with them.
I like last episode when they kind of touched on the fact that she doesn't really have a gaydar yet and she doesn't really know how to flirt with women. And I want to see that. So I cruelly am hoping this relationship doesn't work. And I felt, though, that it was actually a bit of a hot scene when they were together in the bar. Like, they have the most chemistry.
Yes,
like, her and
I thought
Rosie
so,
O'Donnell
too.
didn't have chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting, like, they've really wiped the sex from this season. Like, even last episode when Aiden picked Carrie up after he freakishly showed up in her wardrobe, he just carried her to the room. They closed the door.
Well, she never had sex scenes.
She did a bit more, though. She was in her bra or...
Sure, but that was like one of the biggest points of contention between her and what's her name, Kim Cattrall. Because in Carrie's contract, it was like she would never go topless. Mm-hmm. She would never. She's never been topless in the show one time, and Samantha always had to have her tits out and be like getting Eiffel Towered like in a garbage can, and was like had to, you know what I mean? I mean, never forget like when she like went and like blew all the fire department, like all the firefighters, and then she got caught by like the fire chief and had to like cover up her bits. Like she was like completely naked, and it was like, you know what I mean?
I watched that episode again recently. It was so like, the problem is you go back and you watch an old Sex and the City, and then you're like, oh shit, I can't enjoy it just like that. And like it's a hard come down. I think like in terms of overarching on this episode, the main thing I think is I'm on Dom's side. I think it's getting better, but I'm on Chris's side in the fact that it's still shit and I'm still shouting at my TV. I don't know.
I don't want this show to be Sex and the City. That's the problem I think that I have, is that I want it to now. You've taught me what it is for 2 seasons, and so now I'm ready to do that show. So when you then randomly make it try to be Sex and the City again, I'm like, well, wait, that's not what you've set me up for 2 seasons. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think they heard us all complaining about it and said okay, and they're sort of
I guess you're right.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. That's what it feels like.
That's what I'm begging for. Like, I loved Seema last episode dating all those men, and I think the plot about Seema like buying back her whatever this episode, and she's gonna go out on her own. I was a bit like, oh, can we just watch her dating, please? Why are we?
Which like I'm fine with that, but it was so like, you know what, Carrie? I figured it out. I have an idea. Ding. Like, I'm gonna go out on my own. I've only had this idea for 4 years. But you know, I'm like, what is happening? Like, it was the scripting of this episode was rough.
It was rough. And like, what was with the two of them lying on the bed? Like, picking tiny pieces of
Oh, I loved it.
KFC.
Loved it.
And-
I said I said I love Seema with a bucket of chicken.
But they weren't eating it like humans eat, though.
Well,
it
they
was such a
don't
strange. Yeah, well,
Kathy, Kathy, they don't eat. That's why.
Yeah, they definitely they're getting Seema's character right, but they're not getting her dialogue right yet. Like her decisions and like I like her story, I like all of it, but the stuff that she says is also, it's like the same straight person is writing Mario Cantone's dialogue is also writing Seema's dialogue.
Yeah.
And we need a black gay man or woman to just be writing dialogue for both of them, I think, just to keep it more, it's got to be New Yorkier. It's got to be less just hokey. I don't know.
Why did she say gay man? Gay men never give me what I want. It's just a strange
And then they had
thread.
that poor charlatan person come up to their table and be like, hello, like they're there for 1 minute, not even. Hello, Carrie. I'm the PR agent for this whole festival. You were incredible. I loved you so much. But I'm not just a PR person. I'm also the manager of this restaurant. Can I help you with anything? What was that? What on earth was that? And they're like, we want the fried chicken. And she's like, the like manager person is like, oh, that's the old menu. Oh, what am I gonna do? I don't know. Like, and no one can get anything right around here. Oh, I'll be back. It's it was my mother's cooking, but she went heart healthy. Wink. Walks away, and then that was all just for Seema to be like, see, a gay man can't ever give me what I want. And Carrie's like,
which is a story they never paid off. And is an interesting story, by the way, that they could tell on the show about gay guys generally being assholes and occasionally treating their straight female friends like shit. I mean, that's an actual thing, and they could actually do a funny story about it. But the thing with the manager, I thought the same thing. Those jokes didn't work because that restaurant was too fancy. If it was like a small town where it was believable that one person was the mayor and the PR person and the chef and all that shit, then it would have worked. But they were in this giant fancy restaurant.
Like beautiful old, like old, like Americana.
They should have been at a diner. Yeah, they should have been somewhere smaller.
And old menus.
Yeah, where the guy's like chopping the eggs. Like he's like, order up, ding, and then he's like, oh, P.S. Carrie, I loved you in that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
exactly. And like, who's handing out old menus? Like, they're thrown in the bin. They're not around to be.
Also,
given.
this restaurant's too nice to make that mistake.
Exactly.
Right.
So yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, you're right, Dominic.
Repeatedly, repeatedly.
Yeah.
And also because the episodes are 45 minutes long now, they've just lost. I always feel it's a bit like when Arrested Development went on to Netflix. And it suddenly got very long and baggy, and like they really missed the runtime. And I think this show's really suffering from the runtime because they leave in shit like that. That there's no one sitting there saying, "Do you know what, lads? If we just tighten this up a bit, it'd be a coherent." There's never a coherent narrative anymore. I can't leave and say, "Oh, there was a definite theme to that episode," or.
Well, and then that like that like they got like some kind of integration with KFC, and so they're like, okay, we have to like. KFC's paying us $500,000 to have them eat a bucket of chicken in Virginia, and so we have to like figure out how to get there. And like that was how they got there. Was this like circus character coming in, being like, putting on 17 wigs, like they're in a one woman show all alone,
and they're not even in Kentucky. Like, what's the thread there? Like,
no, nothing. But again, I wanted KFC. Like, it works because I'm like, should I get a bucket of chicken today?
Yeah, I don't even eat chicken, and I was like, God, I love some chicken.
Like it did work, but again, like they were like, oh, KFC's paying us all this money to watch Carrie Bradshaw eat fried chicken out of a bucket, so we have to like figure out what we're gonna do, and that was the answer.
Nibble on it, like she's really horrified by what she's doing. Like it's not like a finger licking good situation,
No.
So what do you think, Dom? What was your cringe moment of the week then?
My cringe
moment
of the week.
As some of the previous episodes.
No, but I mean, it's something very, very minor. There was something. Let me just say one quick thing. There are moments when, and they're normally from SJP, when there's a moment on the show where her acting is so good, or she reacts to something so relatably that I'm like, ooh. And when she was on the phone with Aiden's wife, when Aiden's wife was like, I have an unusual question to ask, and SJP said, oh, is it not to come? And the wife said, that's actually less awkward than what I'm going to ask you. And SJP just went, whoa, okay. And there was something about the way she said it. I was like, oh, that's exactly how I act in a situation like that. Like when someone's like, I got bad news, I'm like, ooh, okay, lay it on me. Let me act like I'm not shitting my pants. It was a fun moment that sort of whisked by. I cringed when the fucking flight attendant was nasty to Seema. That does not happen. It would never happen to someone in first class for sure.
Were they in first class though, Dominic? That was my note. No, there was a seat in between them.
Oh, maybe.
My cringe moment was going to be why are Seema and Carrie not in first class? They would never not be in first class. Seema has a driver.
Somebody wrote a whole hit piece just about their bad airplane etiquette, which I really enjoyed earlier. Sadly, I can't remember who wrote it. And just how absurd it was that, in this piece, they also said that they weren't in first class. But sometimes I've noticed on smaller flights between smaller cities, they'll just like close down the middle seat. And that's kind of them doing. But I don't want.
Why can't they just show me a?
Yeah.
Why can't they just be in the two big chairs?
Yeah, it was. I think that was all, and they're like, sit down, and she's like requesting her booze, and Carrie's got her pills. Yeah, I don't know. I think my cringe moment was Harry. When your husband's pissing himself in a nightclub, like things have gone terribly wrong, and they were so blasé about it, which makes you wonder: is Harry okay? Like, does this happen all the time? And also, why am I worrying about Harry's prostate and bladder? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
It's not a plot I want to be thinking about.
Wait,
and here I am.
Really, is his being incontinent going to be an actual storyline? Because I will FF through that. I'm not even joking. I'm just not interested in it. It's not triggering me. I'm just bored with it. Like, if that's where they're going with him, like, I could take middle age. I'm not going to take old age from Sex and the City. I absolutely refuse.
I have another cringe moment.
What?
I need Ryan Serhant to not be in the show ever again.
Who is he? I didn't recognize him.
He's the other boss. That other like real estate agent that he was in the last season when he's like trying to sell her, when she's going, he's like, I have a buyer for your apartment, and he comes in and shows her, and it's like the guy that she dates in the last season that she like, broke up with in the first episode. Mm-hmm. And then he comes back, and I wrote in all capitals, I need Ryan Serhant off my television screen as soon as humanly possible.
Why? What's wrong? Who is he?
He's used to be on $1 Million Listing New York on Bravo, and then got a show called Owning Manhattan on Netflix, and he is so insufferable on it. It's like within other likes we've never seen before.
Is he playing himself then, or is he playing a fictionalized version?
I think he's playing himself.
Wow. Okay, that's too much, because as somebody who doesn't know that, he doesn't work as a character, and clearly for you as someone who does know that, he's also not working as a character.
No. Can I give you a few more random gripes that I have that I'll just do a rapid fire?
I would love them.
I loved whenever the Charlotte's coworker was like, if I don't fuck Dutch tonight, I will die. Obsessed with that. Loved it. Love her. Love her character. Need to see more of her. Mm-hmm. Why is Lisa Todd Wexley not talking to the girls about her editor quitting? Like, she has this thing that just happened to her. Why isn't she coming to the table and being like, girls, you'll never believe this. My thing is being hijacked. And then, like, you know what I mean? Like, this person is taking my editor away, and then them being like, oh no. Like, I want them to care about her.
Because they don't talk like they keep saying Miranda works in human rights, but who gives a fuck? Like, they'll mention, like, she goes, oh, what are you going to talk about? Famines or something? And then they kind of laugh. And I'm like, wait, this is Miranda's career. Like, this is very serious. But so, yeah, I just don't think any of them care, to be honest.
Carrie's license plate being expired was funny. That she like wouldn't ever need her license for anything. Like, she's like, I haven't been ID'd in a long time, and I don't drive a car. Like, it's like, that's a New York story that like we need more of.
That happened to me. I landed in Italy once. I booked a car in my name, gave them my driver's license. They said, this is expired. And then because the booking was all under my name, we had to repay for a new booking, so we paid twice. But obviously, the cost would not matter to these two ladies. But
no,
I did enjoy that.
Praying when she was like, how long has it been expired? And they waited a beat. I was like, please be a long time ago. And when they said 2017, I was like, thank you. It's just because that is also very realistic. The only problem I had with the joke afterwards, when the lady was like, that's a very flattering photo, I would have looked at her and been like, fuck you. I'm standing right here. Also, I'm right here. And you're saying that.
My photo is still the photo I took when I was 23 years old. That you in New York, like, you don't have to get your new photo like every time you go get your license renewed. No. So it didn't even make any sense.
Yeah, I would never get a new one.
Also, why aren't we seeing Seema's phone call with like the with Ryan Serhant. Give me a break.
Something went on. I think maybe she actually quit and didn't say anything to Carrie because she didn't want to pull focus. It was way too weird for there not to be an answer to your question. I thought the same thing.
It's like Carrie gets out and like looks around and then she's like, I did the phone call. I'm going on my own. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, but
okay.
There's something happened. Whatever happened on that phone call, we'll actually find out probably in the next episode. She probably just didn't want to say anything.
I don't think so, Dominic.
I don't think we will.
I mean, that's beyond a missed opportunity. That's like character. You want to seeing her in that situation is character development. Like that's a scene that you must show us.
Yeah, well, I think it's like she's decided she like they'll give us 2 minutes of them in the restaurant with this fucking stupid plot about menus, but then they miss core moments when there's like a real moment where we can like discover something about something. And they even made a whole scene about her answering the phone. Yeah.
My biggest note that I have like bolded and underlined is every plot point is getting us to the next thing versus telling us a story. Like when they like go over that rumble strip, which again, like that's like in an airport, you go over that. It's not like you go over that like at a random restaurant.
I have like never seen one of those in my life. I was like, what is happening? What are they driving over?
When you like pull out when you bring your rental car back to the airport, you go over one of those so that you can't like drive out of there and like steal a rental car basically.
Right. Okay.
Like it doesn't make any sense for it to be there, but sure, it's that's what happens. But then it's like their tires go flat and they're like, and then the rental leaves and then they're like, wait, where's our luggage? And then she's like, oh, it's still in the rental. And then Simi's like, okay, I'm just going to leave. Go bring me to the airport. I'm like, what?
Yeah, why was their luggage in the like? Why layer that plot on
again?
Then we're like, did they drive to the airport and collect their luggage?
No reason, no reason. And then, but it's so that like when they get to his house, it's like nighttime because they had to like go do all these other things.
Right, he's forced to ask them. The writing backed him into a corner because how can he not ask her to stay after all this horrible shit that's happened? Yeah. So we'll never actually know if he was going to ask her to stay or if he was just pitying her.
And it's so funny what you say, and like not to be obsessed with the Writers Room podcast, but they literally say, okay, so we need Miranda to do X, so we bring in Y, and then we mention this line, and then we know that Miranda can do X, and then Anthony's going to do Z. They plan it like that, like it's based on plot. It's not. Based on character.
I can feel that in every frame of this TV show, and there's like very few shows today that I can say that about.
Yeah.
So even like stupid Friends, like sitcom-y things, like they don't feel this way.
Yeah, they always go character first, right? Any decent show or any HBO show. But look, thank you so much, guys, for coming. I have kept you for ages. Will you kind of just let everyone know where to find you guys, what you're up to, what projects you're working on? Because I know our listeners will love your podcast.
Our podcast is Fixing Famous People, where we every week, the first like 40-ish minutes is basically Wendy Williams' hot topics of what's going on in pop culture this week and how Dominic and I feel about it. And then every week we have a guest on, like yourself, to fix a celebrity that's in dire straits. We talk about their career, why they're in hot water, like the highs and the lows. And then Dominic and I both pitch ideas of how they can get out of their current PR situation. And then the guest chooses the winner.
It's so fun. I get all my celebrity news from you guys, so therefore, like in the last year, I know a lot about Broadway.
I feel sorry for you.
I know
what a negative gay view you have of the entire world.
I know about Patti LuPone. I never even heard of her until the last couple of weeks when you guys started talking about her. I know so much about Katy Perry's trip into space, which I admire you guys for both watching and recapping in real time because I needed that. I saw Orlando Bloom recently in something and all I could think about was the fact that he watched the rocket go off. Yeah. And my favorite fix of all time was Dominic's fix for Zac Efron, which is not repeatable on this podcast. This is not even a family podcast. I don't know if you remember it, Dominic, but I
believe
drink out.
Does it? Do you bleep this podcast?
No.
Oh, then I won't repeat it. I think
We also recently, today, just dropped an episode of Featuring Famous People where we interview Amanda Knox and all about her fight with fame over her entire life.
The real Amanda Knox?
The real Amanda Knox. It's up right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So yes, we may just do a bunch of stupid shit, but we also do things like that.
We're just like that, aren't we?
And just like that.
Yeah, I can't put you guys in a box then, because one minute you're fixing Zac Efron through nefarious means.
We're fighting our way out of it as much as we can in that box.
It's
yeah.
the
But what I love about your show is because you've both worked on so many shows, and I do recommend that our listeners go and look at your IMDb's. You've worked on so many things. You've been comedian Dominic. Dominic was like the warm-up for Ricky Lake back in the day, which I just absolutely love. So I think your perspective is brilliant, and you bring real insight and humor to everyone you're fixing. And you know, when you fixed Rosie O'Donnell, I thought that was such an interesting episode because you came out with love.
We do love her. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never knew about her and Tom Selleck, so I was right on watching that YouTube clip.
Did you watch it? Did you watch those
Yeah.
clips? Talk about cringe. That's
Yeah,
worse
it
than
was-
Harry pissing his pants. I'll tell you that.
But next time you're in Ireland, what you can do is you can both see Rosie O'Donnell and us. So yeah.
Oh, that's true. We can be
We
on your
should. We
podcast
should do
and visit Rosie.
a joint trip for both for you
yeah,
and Rosie.
exactly. I mean, I've no doubt she'll come to the cinema with us if asked. So thank you so much for coming, Chris and Dom. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.
And thanks everyone for listening. I'll be back with a brand new guest next week for And Just Like That Season 3 Episode 4. And regular episodes of the cinema will continue, of course, every Sunday. This weekend, Dave and I will be seeing the live action How to Train Your Dragon. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, or come over to Patreon where we talk all things TV every week, and every month we watch a retro movie chosen by our listeners. Bye.
I'm trying something new. It's fiction.
Romantasy is very hot right now. Sex in the Cauldron.
Now I have a title.